Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to call to order the April 15th, 2015 meeting of the Frederick County Planning Commission. And I would ask that you would join us in a moment of silence, please. Thank you. We have no changes to the agenda.
Move for adoption of the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We do have minutes from March the 18th.
Move for adoption of the minutes.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. We do have, I think, some committee reports. Mr. Moan, would you like to?
Madam Chair, the Comp Plan Committee met Monday evening, and we discussed our progress on the Kernstown Area Plan, and I know that'll be coming forward to the commission shortly. Also, Mr. Ruddy gave us a briefing about the upcoming update to the comprehensive plan, and we had a good discussion about infrastructure planning and coordination with the Sanitation Authority.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Oates, Transportation Committee.
Yes, ma'am. We met on March 23rd. Had a few items on the agenda. VDOT came up and gave us a presentation on some updates of their projects. The first was Route 37, letting us know where they're at on that design and right-of-way study. Hopefully this winter we'll have something finally. It's been going on for several years. Then they talked about exit 310 and the project getting ready to get started there. It's supposed to kick off actually this month. It's probably going to be a 2 to 3 year project. And also the Red Bud Road realignment, which kind of falls into the master plan you'll be looking at tonight. And then John Bishop let us know that the Eastern Road Plan update discussion is coming up. It's been a while since we really delved into it, and with the comp plan coming up for renewal, it's something we'll be looking at this summer.
Lots of things. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome David Smith from the City of Winchester, from the Planning Commission. Do you have a report for us, David?
Yes, Madam Chairman. Last month, we had our Planning Commissioners retreat, but next week in our regular meeting, we'll be discussing site improvements to the old Coca-Cola plant on Valley Avenue, and we'll be talking about the corridor enhancement certificate of appropriateness, and our capital improvement program as well. That's about it.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks
thank you.
for being here. Mr. Hess from the Board of Supervisors?
Yes, Madam Chairman, since the last Planning Commission meeting, the Board of Supervisors met twice. On March 25th, there were no planning-related items on the agenda. And then on April 8th, the only planning-related item was the abandonment of Gold Orchard Road. There was no public comment and no discussion, and the abandonment was approved. That concludes it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is the part on our agenda where if there are any citizens who would like to comment to us about anything except for what's on the agenda. Well, seeing no one, we will close the citizen comment portion. Our first item is a public hearing. It's an ordinance amendment to the Frederick County Code, Chapter 165 zoning, Article 5, Planned Development Districts, Part 501, R4 Residential Planned Community District, Section 165-501.03, permitted uses. This is a revision to the zoning ordinance to include the office manufacturing park district to the permitted uses in the R4 district. Mrs. Perkins.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the commission. This is a very minor ordinance amendment. It's just to include the OM district within the R4 districts. It's really just a cleanup resulting from the creation of the district a few years back. So the DRC reviewed this back at their January meeting. The Planning Commission discussed this in February. The board, at their March 11th meeting, they sent it forward to public hearing. So I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, questions of Mrs. Perkins? Any? Thank you. This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak to us regarding this change in the ordinance? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing. Is there any discussion about this at all?
Madam Chairman, at DRC, we discussed it thoroughly. All the uses allowed in OM are already allowed in M1, so it's no impact really to speak of.
That's great. Anything else? Well, I think we need to have a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we recommend approval of the addition of the OM district to the R4 district.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further comments? Mr. Moan?
Moan, yes.
Dunlap, yes.
Interpreted, yes.
Kenny, yes.
Bolden, yes.
Thomas, yes.
Oates, yes.
Crockett, yes.
Ambrosi, yes.
Marston, yes.
Unger, yes.
And the chair votes yes. This will go to the Board of Supervisors on May the 13th. Our next item is also a public hearing. It's an ordinance amendment to the Frederick County Code, Chapter 165 zoning, Article 2, supplementary use regulations, parking buffer, and regulations for specific uses, Part 202, off-street parking, loading and access, Section 165-202.01, off-street parking, parking lots. And this is a revision within all of that to include the use of permeable paving systems for parking lots. Mrs. Perkins.
Again, thank you. As you stated, this is an ordinance amendment to allow the use of permeable paving systems for the construction of parking areas within all zoning districts. Now, this request is really to give the construction community another option for stormwater management. Currently, the ordinance only allows this for overflow parking. So this really just moves it from overflow to one of the general, There we go. Sorry about that. Too many iPads in front of me right now. So, as I said, this will just remove it from overflow into a standard material for use. It allows the zone administrator to approve that alternative surface, but also the director of public works or the county engineer also has to approve the surface to make sure that the construction is appropriate for the use. The DRC again reviewed this at their January meeting, Planning Commission at your February meeting. The board sent this to public hearing at their March meeting. So I'd be glad to answer any questions, and we're seeking a recommendation to the board.
Questions of Mrs. Perkins? Any?
I'd like to add one thing, which I helped bring this forward. But Ms. Perkins, one thing on the permeable pavers, we're looking to maximize the number of pavers we can get in there. It'd be helpful if we could also, I guess, add something in that says header curb will be allowed around the pavers to the border, so we don't lose 2 feet of area all the way around for a gutter pan. Plus, we want the water to go in on top of the pavers, so the gutter pan kind of defeats the purpose anyway.
There's already provisions in the ordinance that allows the elimination of the curb and gutter when you're doing LID, so that could be part of the approval.
Well, we still need the header curb for a border with all the pavers in place.
We can already accommodate that.
Okay, good, thank you.
Any other comments?
Just one.
Yes, Mr. Unger.
I'm very much in favor of this, and I think it's a great idea. Is there anything in the ordinance about how often they have to be cleaned or vacuumed or whatever what they do?
This will be considered a BMP, so there's going to be recorded restrictions on it, and it has to be reviewed, I believe, by Public Works every 3 years for BMPs.
I don't think they've got it nailed down. It's either going to be annually or biannually, 1 or 2 years. But
It'll have to be reviewed and maintained.
After a period of time, that it would be just like a slab of concrete when it fills up with dirt.
Right, it would be recorded, though, at the courthouse with the BMP and the maintenance of it, and it would have to be completed every specified time period.
But I do like the idea of that.
Madam Chairman, I have one question. Will there a maintenance agreement be required for these?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you. This also is a public hearing. Would anyone in the audience like to speak to us regarding this item? Anyone at all? All right, seeing no one, we will close the public hearing. Any other comments?
Madam Chair, I move for adoption.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I guess we need to go ahead. Mr. Unger, would you just?
Unger,
go
yes.
down? Yes.
Marston, yes.
Ambrogi, yes.
Crockett, yes.
Votes yes.
Bolden, yes.
Kenny, yes.
Triplett, yes.
Dunlap, yes.
Moan, yes.
And the chair votes yes. This also will go to the Board of Supervisors on May the 13th.
Madam Chairman, I'll need to recuse myself from the next item since we currently rent that property for cattle.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. The next item is an information item for us. It's Master Development Plan 01-15 for Greystone Commerce Center, submitted by Stowe Engineering PLC to develop 271.4 acres of land of the M1 Light Industrial District with industrial uses. The subject properties are located on the north side of Redbud Road, Route 661, and the east side of the CSX Railroad, the west side of Milburn Road, Route 662, and south of, McCann's Road, Route 838, in the Stonewall Magisterial District. They are identified by property identification numbers 43-A-158, 44-A-26, and 44A-27. And if you will note, the note in our description is that this is for informational purposes only.
Again, thank you. This is a master development plan for 271 acres of land zoned M1 light industrial. Proposed use is industrial. This property was rezoned under Greystone back in 2009, and then a proffer revision was also approved in 2012. If you could look to the screen to your left, we have the subject property. As you can see, it is in blue, outlined in black. And you have Route 37 corridor. I give up. The properties are outlined in black. You can see 37 runs through the upper portion of the property. Again, this is the master development plan. It was the same that was included in your agenda. Access to this site will be via a connection with Snowden Bridge Boulevard that would align with the access point already approved within the North Stevenson property, which is, there's a section of that that's already constructed that aligns with at the Rutherford Crossing Shopping Center. Now, the master plan, it does show Snowden Bridge Boulevard, how it runs through the property, along with the 3 access points that were allowed through the proffer statement. It also shows the relocation of Redbud Road. With the proffer statement also shown on the master plan is the prohibition for access to Milburn Road, Redbud Road, and McCann Road. Now, I would also note that Snowden Bridge Boulevard will be a public road. However, through the proffers, the internal road network for this property will be private. This master plan is in conformance with the proffers for the Greystone property. This is a master plan that's presented for informational item. I would be glad to answer any questions, and Mr. Tim Stowe is here on behalf of the application.
Thank you. Any questions for Mrs. Perkins?
Just one.
Yes, Mr. Unger?
The right-of-way for 37, is that permanent or has that got a deadline on it?
There's a study timeframe that excuse me if I flip to there's a dedication sufficient for an 800-foot wide interchange at a single point. That's a study period. If that expires, there's a dedication for a 225-foot right-of-way. So there's a study period for a certain amount of time for a larger layout, and then if that expires, there is a still permanent dedication for the 225.
Else, any other questions? This is our chance to ask them. Any questions that you would like to ask the applicant? Okay, I do believe this is sufficient. Yes. Our next item is also an information item and discussion. It is the comprehensive plan update timeline, and that's the 2035 comp plan.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It seems like we were just here completing the last one, perhaps, but of course, the last comprehensive plan was approved in 2011, which, on that 5-year time cycle, brings this update in front of us again throughout this upcoming year. We discussed this briefly at the Planning Commission retreat a couple of weeks ago, but we wanted to give you a little bit more of an outline as to how we would anticipate the update going. As Mr. Moe mentioned, we talked about it at the Complan Committee meeting on Monday night, and we would anticipate it occurring over the next 12 months and be completed by this time next year. So as part of the update, we figured a three-phased approach to the comp plan update. And the format, with the cover being on the screen to your left right now, the format of the 2030 comprehensive plan is the same format we'll use this year after we give it a major rehab in 2011. So we'll be using the same format, and that is the comprehensive plan as a whole, Appendix 1, which is the background studies and analysis that go and support the comprehensive plan, and then Appendix 2, which of course are all of the area plans. And since the last one was approved, we've upgraded a couple of them, the Senseney, Eastern Frederick, and the Southern Frederick area plan, two major area plans that sought to implement this version of the comprehensive plan. So we would use that same format. And within the three phases, the first phase will start right away and use this summer to update Appendix 2, which is the background analysis and supporting studies. That's the overview, the demographic information, the economic analysis, and then, of course, all of the land use analysis. So we would look to get that in place and use the Comp Plan Committee over the summer to provide that, and hopefully get it endorsed and tweak it. So as we complete that first phase coming out of September, we'll have all of the information we need to then start the public process, the public input process. I'll mention briefly that there are two key components we see to be added or enhanced in this update to the comprehensive plan. And the first relates to a good evaluation of the 25-75 C&I ratio throughout the county. That's the commercial and industrial land use to residential, making sure we're staying on target with that, with the land use plans, and of course the policies within the comprehensive plan. The second key component would be the SWASA, the Sewer and Water Service Area, and making sure that aligns with the Frederick County Sanitation Authority and their efforts to provide the water and sewer supply and service within the current Sewer and Water Service Area, which of course is the 20-year time frame in which we'd envision. And then in those areas that go beyond that, the 20 to 40, 20 to 50-year time frame. So those are two key components we want to build upon over the summer and thoroughly understand and make sure that they are included in this update to the comprehensive plan. So as we would move out of that first phase of the update, that takes us into October, November, and December of this year, where we would work with a group of citizens, business owners, landowners in the county, very similar to how we did before. That would be our kind of expert blue ribbon panel that we would reconvene and hopefully look for any good additional members to that during the fall. Again, they will have all of the background information and studies in place, and then they can look at the chapters of the comprehensive plan, again, dealing with the residential development, all of the business, commercial development, transportation, and then, of course, our natural, historical, and resources and public facilities. Again, we have this consistent pattern through all of our comprehensive planning efforts, and hopefully that leads to a greater deal of understanding and hopefully implementation. So that's what we would look to do throughout the end of the year with those groups involved. Again, background information is done. We'll highlight the good things and improve upon the things that need to be improved upon. And then at the end of the year, going into next year, we'll begin phase 3, and that's the Planning Commission's review, perhaps through the retreat, then including a variety of community meetings and working with the public out there, and hopefully, ultimately, with the Board of Supervisors' approval and direction, going through the public hearing process in the spring to get us to this point next year. Well, hopefully the 2035 comp plan will be in good shape. So that's the plan with the schedule. I mentioned the land use analysis. What we've done initially here to start that discussion is to really look at those amendments that we've made to the comprehensive plan since 2011 to provide our background in what has changed in the comprehensive plan. There's some areas of additional SWASA, some new direction perhaps for the Frederick County Sanitation Authority, perhaps in the Middletown, Stevens City area, and of course our Our UDA in Swaza has been modified to include some new residential densities and some new areas of economic development opportunity. So we looked at that. We also looked at what the Sanitation Authority has been doing since that time with regards to their master plan, their capital projects, and how they may have been thinking about future bigger projects. So that is all to be evaluated here this summer. And again, that important component of it, I think, will be an important addition to the comprehensive plan. And that's what we're looking to do, is to make sure that we continue to reinforce the collaborative effort there between the Sanitation Authority, the utilities, the key infrastructure, and our comprehensive plan, to make sure they go hand in hand with this update. Madam Chairman, that's the schedule that we have ahead of us. We talked as a comp plan committee on Monday night that they're going to be very busy throughout the next few months, and I think the format has been set up quite well. We should be familiar with it, and hopefully the update will be a good process. So if there are any questions, any tweaks along the way, please let us know in the planning department, and we'd be happy to try and pull those into the process.
Good. Aggressive, an aggressive schedule. Yep.
Keep us busy,
Yep.
but very timely.
Any questions of Mike? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Very much. Let's see, our next item, and it is our last item, is the 2015 PC retreat summary. And you have noted that there's the report is in our materials, and Mr. Lawrence will be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding this report.
We don't necessarily have a presentation on for the summary from the retreat. We just wanted to make sure we shared it with you. Historically, we don't ask for your approval. It's not an official minutes, so we just provide it to you as information. If you have specific questions, I can certainly address them. Otherwise, it's just it's a summary of what we talked about a month ago. And that's why it's in your agenda.
Is that all what we said? Is that what we said, folks? Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to share with you that we will have a May 6th meeting, and I've been advised by Mr. Lawrence that it's a pretty heavy agenda for us. And so if all of you will make sure that you're here and properly prepared to spend a little time, then I think we could all do well. So that's the last of the news I have. Anybody have anything else?
Move for adjournment.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you all very much.
Dang, under 30 minutes.